The rise of the Antichrist. Michael stands up. 5.1. Thanks for coming back, fam. Let's dig into this one. It is going to get deep, and it's probably going to take us some time. So, uh, take a seat and let's explore the heavens. Hopefully you have some time. If not, come back because this one's not going to be short. It's going to take me some time to break this down. Um, we are going to be looking forward. This is another one of those videos that will be important to save in your file for the Left Behind. These are going to be very important dates on our timeline, and I believe that I have found the signs in the heaven for the rising of the Antichrist. And so we're going to be looking at this information. We're just going to be scratching the surface. As always with these decodes, it's important for you to take what you see and to explore further. And if you have any kind of comments, then you can bring those back to help edify the body of Messiah. This is all done for the work of the King in the heavens. We're doing this because we are called to watch and to look for the signs, and the signs will be in the sun and the moon and the stars. So we are doing our daily due diligence to hunt the heavens, and as I break all these codes down, I discover more and more and more, and even within the codes that I don't post, that I find for these comets and asteroids, it leads me to other comets and asteroids or information about a certain constellation, and then sure enough, if I go hunt, something will show up. It's as if the entire thing is mathematically encoded, and we're supposed to be discovering these things, and it's there for anybody who wants to take the time to discover this, and it becomes a very wonderful gift. And so we're going to show you how these things play out in the heavens for 2027, when I believe we should be seeing the rise of the Antichrist, and this will transition into the last 3.5 years of the tribulation, and we can call that 3.5 year section the Great Tribulation. And so a lot of people get confused about the word tribulation. There's actually codes within the Bible that if you do your due diligence with the mathematics and then with the cross-referencing, you'll see that it's really talking about two different timelines within the 7 years, and we can see those codes given to us in the 1260, 1290, and 1335. So we're going to use those codes to break this down, but before we get to those day counts, we have to continue to uh, show the evidence within the heavens of these things, and it takes a very, very deep and a long amount of time to do the research necessary to make sure that we're not going down the wrong rabbit hole. So this is very important to be able to see these things in the heavens. And again, this is going to take some time, so grab on to your hats because this is going to be a wild ride. So the first thing that we're looking at is on 222 of 27. We have a very important sign in the heavens, and it led me over here to Capricorn, and I noticed some very interesting things. The first thing that we want to point out is that there are two comets that are about to enter into the temple of sacrifice. Again, if you have been following me for a while, then you know the importance of this. If you're new, then after the video, I would suggest going and doing a bunch of Mazzaroth research on Capricorn. What you'll learn is that this constellation is broken up into two parts. The first section is the goat of sacrifice, and its knee is bent as it's dying. And this chamber, this triangle, which we call a chamber, and it's also a temple. These these triangular temples in heaven are exactly what the pyramids of Giza and the pyramids around the world are fashioned after. All of the ancient building structures are representation of things that we see in the heavens, and this is why we have pyramids all around the globe, is because of things like Capricorn. And so this is the temple of death and sacrifice, and we're looking at multiple very, very important signs. We've already been tracking both of these comets over the years. This is 2P Anki and 342P Soho, and we've been tracking multiple Soho comets, and I've been tracking this Anki comet for a while because I knew it was playing very important roles in all of our signs. And now what we're doing is we're looking at Pluto, the planet Pluto, in transition also into the temple of Capricorn. But we're gonna come back to this sign. We're gonna move through the ecliptic, and we're going to take a look at the other signs that are associated with this day. I want to give a shout out to Joseph Aquaviva 222 and Steve Fletcher 222. I'll post both of those brothers in the description. This is for the decoders out there. This is another 222 sign coming in 2027. We are decoding the heavens. One of the things that you'll notice is the planet Mars and Jupiter. You'll notice that both of these planets are in the house of Leo, and we're going to be coming up on some very important signs, and I wanted to make sure that everybody saw this. We're going to be moving forward and backwards from here to establish all these signs, but we need to make sure we see these things to understand. We have Vesta, that is at the head of Cetus, another sign of the foot on the head. or the crushing of the serpent. This is the sea serpent Cetus. We also see in the underworld the celestial sea. Under the ecliptic, we see Neptune and Saturn, and these are both considered signs of the Anunnaki, and they are both in the on this day we have Saturn. That's right. I was going to be breaking that down. First, we have Saturn on this same day. Saturn begins its transition out of the constellation of Cetus. This is very, very important heavenly language. Again, we were just looking at Comet Anki, and we were looking at the comet Soho and Pluto, all about to make a transition into the temple of sacrifice. And this is also a death. You can look at it as a underworld sign. It's very, very important that we see these signs on this specific day. The following day, Saturn transitions into the house of Pisces, and that's really important because this can be seen as Saturn bringing the attack on the house of the fish. And if you're familiar with Bible prophecy and the book of Daniel, and if you've done your research into the connections between Daniel and the book of Revelation, then you'll understand that there is a very important 3.5 year period where the Antichrist rises, and he is given a very specific amount of time. And what we're going to do is we're going to be looking for that prophecy within the stars. And so what we've found is what I believe is the connection to all of this. And I believe that the signs begin here on 222 with in 2027 with Saturn transitioning into the house of Pisces. And then again, we were over here looking at Pluto and Soho and Enki moving into the temple of sacrifice and death. And quickly, we're going to go ahead and go here. As I've been doing my angel research, I have actually read this information before, and I had this is one of the angels that I was very well aware of. The only thing that I did not know is that it was connected to Pluto, and I'm very familiar with all of the other stuff that's related to the Archangel Azrael. Actually, sometimes they depict Azrael as a archangel and sometimes not, and it depends on the source. Some are consider this a fallen angel, but that is a mistake because you can see here even Wikipedia this is where a lot of the mistake comes in. This is not to be confused with Azazel, a fallen angel. So Azazel is not Azrael. And so we have to make that distinction. Some people could possibly get crossed up, and I've actually seen information where people say that Azrael is a fallen angel. I've seen information where people say Michael. They say all these other angels are fallen angels, but from my Mazzaroth research and the information that I have found, these go back before the fall. These angels and the houses and the planets and all of these things were established long before the fall, and those things that are established cannot be moved. You can't tell me that I'm not seeing a very specific planet in a very specific house when I can go out, walk outside, and in the evening time I can actually track that planet, and especially nowadays with stellarium and modern star mapping software. You can have it on your phone. You can walk outside and you can punch in whatever you want, and it'll bring you right there. So these things can't be hidden like they were in what we would call the Dark Ages, because really there's there is a time in the past where there was a great amount of knowledge of the heavens and the stars, and that was all of that information was destroyed by the Catholic Church as they went throughout the entire planet and hunted down what they considered witches. And what they considered a witch was anybody that didn't align with their Catholic doctrines, or what they had turned the Christian religion into. So many are confused because the Church of Rome confused everything. And so what we're doing is bringing some light to the information so that we can wade through this sea of confused people. So here we are with the angel Azrael, and Azrael is God has helped. And this is considered to be the angel of death in Islam, and also appears in apocryphal text, the Apocalypse of Peter. And I haven't read that one yet, and it's on my list of part of the Apocryphon to read. So we can see here, relative to similar concepts of such beings, Azrael holds a benevolent role as God's angel of death. He acts as a psychocomp, responsible for transporting the souls of the deceased after their death. In Islam, he is said to hold a scroll concerning the fate of mortals, recording and erasing their names at their birth and death, similar to the role of Malet Ha-Mavet, angel of death, in Judaism. Depending on the perspective and precepts of various religions in which he is a figure, he may also be portrayed as a resident of the third heaven, a division of heaven in Judaism and Islam. In Islam, he is one of the four archangels and is identified with Quranic Malek al-Mali, or Malek al-Maut, the angel of death. which corresponds with the Hebrew term Malach, Ha-Maleth. In rabbinic literature in Hebrew, Azrael translates to angel of God or help from God. So we can see that this angel, I'm not going to go any further, I'm going to connect this. When we go through the breakdown of Azrael and the planet that he rules over, which is Pluto, we'll also go into the house that he rules over. But for this study, I wanted to just bring out that he is the angel of death and is also involved with the transporting of the dead across the plane into heaven. And it's very important because we're looking at Pluto. Let's go ahead and pull Pluto back up, and we're looking at Pluto, and let's go ahead and move forward, and we're going to watch Pluto entering into the temple. Let's get this up, and that way we can see the timing. And all this will become important as we do our exploration. This series is going to take a lot more than I thought, because the things I'm finding and the connections I'm making, and like even with Pluto's planet Chiron, the things that I've learned about this Chiron and Saturn also having a connection to all of this. I really want to be able to bring this all out for the body of Messiah, but this is really important. We have the alignment with Pluto, with the entrance. You can see here Pluto is directly on the line, and this is the temple of sacrifice. And as we showed before, we have the they're not showing up now, but we can back it up and we'll show you. So we can see here this is another one of the alignments I wanted to show you. Let's go ahead and run this by, and I want you to look at the path of 2P Anki, and then also look at Soho and the movements. So let's keep our eyes on this sign. This is really incredible. You see this, family? This is incredible stuff that we're looking at in the heavens. And this is why we're talking about the planet Pluto, and it has everything to do with this part of the heavens, which is the most important part when it comes to death and resurrection. And this can also be seen as an attack on the church, because the back section of Capricorn is a fish family. And in all of my studies in the Mazzaroth, it has been pointed out that this differentiation in this house is very contentious, and there are a definite differentiation between these two sides. You have this goat figure in the front, which is always been a sign of uh, in some cultures that evil goat sign. A lot of the signs in Satanism come from Capricorn. This front section of this constellation has been used in magic for a very long time, and they have used this in sigils, and there is a lot of deep stuff when it's concerned to Capricorn. And what we're doing is we're bringing back the ancient understanding before there was corruption. And I want to point out that Pluto is seen as, and we still can look at it this way, but Pluto is seen as the dragon in heaven. And there are many who mistakenly label the planets uh, in a singular way. And what I'm trying to bring forth is before the corruption, before these planets were turned into gods, they were all creations of the Father, and they were seven holy angels, and all of these comets and all of these asteroids, regardless of what name we've given them, are all playing a very important role in the heavens, and they're playing out the story or his story, and that is established from creation. This isn't something new. Uh, this has been going on for aeons, ages and ages and ages, and this goes back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, family. You can go do your research on Gobekli Tepe, and they are showing with the alignments to the stars that it goes back 13,000 years, family. A lot of people that are Bible scholars, they immediately get triggered by that because they believe that this planet is only 6,000 years, and the mistake that they're making is that the Bible is a code. It's coded language, and you can go do this research for yourself, and I challenge you to do this research. The encoders of the Bible used that number 6,000 as a code language. It is not to be looked at in a literal term. You can go do this research. Those Jewish men who encoded the Torah were masters at code language. Daniel was an encoder. Many of the Jewish scholars are encoders. Where do you think the Bible code really came from? It came from a bunch of Jews who, once they found out what had been discovered, they were the very first men and women who were opening those codes. It was all Jewish people, at least for the first couple years. And then all of a sudden, we got our hands on it, and we started cracking our own codes. I was part of a a Bible code family a long time ago. And so these things are all encoded in the heavens, and this is nothing new. And what we're watching is his story playing out, and it's very important to be able to see these signs. We're looking at just amazing signs in the heaven that are it's showing us a pattern. We can see the pattern right in our face. Let's run it back and forward again. Let's watch. Let's go ahead and scroll this out. And I want you to watch as this. I want you to see this back here. This was a really incredible sign back here. Let's get scrolled in here. I want you to see this sign back here. This is Soho, the moon, the sun, and Enki. And let's go ahead and just watch it move forward. Let's watch this now as these transition. Okay, computer. So let's back it up. We can see how they're all aligned on the 6th. You've got the moon, Soho. They're all in the rear section. Again, family, that is the house of resurrection. And we've talked about that in the Stargate. If you are interested in learning about the Stargate, because that is all about this Capricorn constellation, and they hold that in high esteem also. This is where CERN gets all of its signs. You will, the more you dig into Capricorn, the more you're going to understand that this constellation has everything to do with our current time we're in. And now I'm showing you that in 2027 there's some very important signs that we're able to look forward on Stellarium or whatever star program you have, and then you can just run it for yourself, and you can see that there is a very distinct pattern. Now what we're going to do is we're going to scroll in, and we're going to watch this, and you can see here a very, very distinct pattern. This is the marking of Pluto and Enki, and you can't make these kind of things up. It's right here for all eyes to see. This is from our point of view, this is a very, very important sign. And then you can see that Soho is right there. And another part of this entire sign is Amphitrite. And I was going to bring this up, but we will go ahead and do it now while she shows up. Again, if you've been with me for a while, then you know who this is and what the codes align to with this asteroid, Amphitrite. This is in the Greek, I think the Roman, it might be the Roman too, but this is Greek mythology. Amphitrite is the goddess of the sea, And again, in this section of Capricorn, this is considered the sea. And we see here that Amphitrite, which is a representation of Mary of Magdala, Mary Magdalene. The codes align for asteroid Amphitrite, and it equals Mary Magdalene. And I've been following this asteroid for a very long time, fam. If you're new, then this is one of the very first asteroids that began my work with hunting asteroids, because when I kept seeing this showing up in the Mazzaroth, it was always for my escape of the bride signs. It showed up in almost every single sign. It was like as if in every time there was an alignment, it was aligned somewhere that pointed to the signs for the bride. And so it became very important to me, and I've been hunting the signs for Amphitrite for probably 4 to 5 years. So it's not something new. I have been hunting this uh, asteroid for a long time, along with Ceres and a couple of the other minor planets. And if you've been following me, then you know that there's certain of these asteroids always show up in the images more than the other asteroids, and they're much easier to make alignments with, because for some reason Stellarium shows certain asteroids more than others, and I think it has to do with the numbers that they have. Amphitrite is 29 Amphitrite, and that is in the very, very, very beginning of when they started naming all of the asteroids and doing all the work on the asteroids. Number 29 in all of the asteroids that they found. So that shows you that it is very, very old in its determination by the Astronomy Institute. So here we're looking at the 25th. Let's go ahead and look at this. It looks like that is entered in here. We're looking at the actual alignment, and 1 minute later it enters in, and we can see that Enki is in the house of sacrifice, and Amphitrite is now inside of the house of resurrection. And this is another important sign when it comes to us hunting down the signs for the Antichrist. What we're showing you is, in my opinion, this comet here, Comet 2P Enki. I believe from all of my research that the governments of the world are working to raise these ancient kings from the dead. They have found multiple of their graves. You can look this information up. It goes really extremely deep into genetics, and there's a lot of stuff that goes really deep with this. And we're not going to get into anything other than we know that Enki is the creator of the modern humans in the Garden of Eden. This is an ancient tale that is thousands of years before the Bible, and these things were written on stone, and they cannot be passed over by anybody. So the only reason that they're not out there in the general public is because the Catholic Church and the Christian Church has worked in unison to stifle all of the research, to stifle the release of information. They have done a deep job of disturbing the release of all of these documents and information, and very few people within the Christian church have had a chance to read any of this information or understand it. A lot of them are scratching the surface with the Anunnaki, and they just immediately uh, believe that the Anunnaki are these evil overlords that came from some other planet. There's all kinds of mixed information when it comes to the space lord kind of thing, where they're from the planet Nibiru, and that you get a lot of historical information that is very, very watered down with the ancient Sumerians. You have a lot of people who are new at doing this kind of research. This even comes up with the Billy Carson stuff. Um, he was doing a lot of deep research into the Anunnaki and the Sumerian mythology and the Egyptian mythology, and taking it back to uh, very, very ancient times. And he got led down so many rabbit holes that he ended up having his entire research just watered down by the what I consider the ancient astronaut group. And they look at these heavenly beings as uh, they're just another benevolent creation of the Father that's living out in space somewhere, and that they traveled from these far star systems to here, and that's how the Anunnaki came. And what they're missing is that those uh, encoded stories of the Sumerians are exactly the same encoded stories of the Bible. Family, it's code language. And that's the only way you protect anything from the untrained mind, is you encode it, and then those who are able and willing to do the work of decoding, which takes a lot of research, it takes a lot of study, and which means you have to be dedicated, and that dedication to uncovering the truth is what leads you to the truth. It's not a first grade story. We're not first graders, and just as we read in all kinds of Bible stories, they're just told for children so that we don't get confused when we're beginning our faith. Because it can be very, very confusing if you're a new follower of Christ, a lot of this stuff can pass right over your head because you don't have a lot of the necessary foundation in the scripture, and you aren't able to connect all the different books of the Bible, the flow of the Bible. This is all encoded messages, and if you understand the Bible as a code, everything fits into place, and you'll begin to see that the majority of the Bible stories are actually encoded star language. And what I found is I can take every single story in the Bible, every one of them, and I can find that story in the heaven. And every single story in the Bible, family, you give it to me and I'll break it down for you in heaven. Because that's how we got all the Bible stories. And a lot of people confuse uh, that the Bible is the only way for us to understand the language of the Father or the Son, but I beg to differ. If you're a native in the middle of the jungle and you've never seen a Bible in your life, but you see the stars every day, these people have ancient tales that go back, that are connected to all of the ancient star tales, family. You can go to every continent and you can find native people, the Aboriginals of Australia, to the natives that are all through the Americas. You can go and talk to the Inuit elders. You can go all over the planet, the Maori in New Zealand, family all over the world. They have the exact same star story, and it's no different. They have different names, but if you get down to the core of their star stories, it's all exactly the same. They all have flood myths. They all have a connection to ancient overlords coming and teaching them all these different things that they didn't know, and that's how they got writing. That's how they obtained all these things. Is there was an ancient society that got destroyed by cataclysms, and very few people made it. The ones who made it were the ones who were able to decode the heavens and see what the warnings were, and they did everything they could to escape the cataclysms, and that's why we even have any of this information that has passed down to us, because it's all been protected throughout history. And Enki is one of the Anunnaki who ruled the Garden of Eden. He is the actual one who took the original man that was already here on the planet, and he is the great geneticist that took the Adamo. You can look this up, family. He took the Adamo. It's not Adam and Eve, it's the Adamo. This is where the word Adam comes from. This is the root of where the Bible story comes from. He took the Adamo and he genetically manipulated them so that they would be a workforce for the Anunnaki overlords. And they only allowed the genetic structure of the modern humans to have a very specific perception. We were downgraded in order for control. And this is why there are movies like The Matrix and many other what some people would consider Gnostic movies. The reason is that they are trying to uncover the lies and the deception of the overlords. And we're looking at the overlords right here in our face, being shown to us in the heavens so that we don't make any mistakes. We're looking at the overlords lining up in the heavens, pointing out to us Pluto entering back into the temple, and then we can see the movements. And this again was a very important sign. As you know, we've been tracking the equilux signs, and if you look at this transition of 2P Anki, you can see that it from the 15th to the 16th, which is the equilux on the 16th. Now we have Anki that is transitioning out of the temple of resurrection. And we're looking at 3/16 of 2027, and we're already at 51 minutes. I believe I'm going to have to just come back, and we're going to have to make this a 5.2 because we have a lot more work to do, and I'm trying to keep these all under an hour. I wanted to also point out that let's go ahead and pull that up on, I believe it's forward from here. Let's look at this alignment. Okay, fam. So on 3/16 equilux 2027, again, we were just looking at Comet Enki on the same day, exiting the Temple of Resurrection. Now we see Venus aligning with the capstone of the resurrection chamber, and we can see down here that Enki has exited, and I believe Soho is about to do a turnaround. Remember, Soho and Enki both went into retrograde. Enki turned first and came around, and now I believe Soho, and we will come back and we will begin again there. But I wanted you to see that on this day, the equilux 2027, Venus aligns with the capstone, and we had just seen at the beginning of the day on the 16th, Comet Enki coming out of the resurrection, and I believe that this is going to have a very large role in the rising of the Antichrist. Again, family, let's just look at this really quick. We have, I believe, when Pluto makes its entrance here, this is going to be a very important sign, and I believe this might be our tie to when we actually, well, hopefully none of us are here, but again, this is something that we need to save for the left behind. This is Pluto, the angel of death, entering into the temple or chamber of death and sacrifice on 3/30/2027, 12:15 Pacific Standard Time. This is a very important sign coming up in 2027. We're going to come back and we're going to connect all the rest of the dots for 2027 all the way up to the end of the year. We're going to show you all the signs. It's going to take us some time. I might have a whole nother hour just to get through the rest of the signs for 2027. Then we're going to have to come back and we're going to have to connect all the dots with the 2030 signs that we already showed you and with the signs that we're looking at in our time right now. And we're going to point out all of the day counts and how that's going to all work. And I believe I've found the connection, but I need more research time in the heavens to watch all of these things play out. And sometimes it takes hours and hours to connect all the dots, but I have a pattern already, and now I just have to go prove it. I have to go prove with all the rest of the signs that this is the actual pattern. A lot of it is connected to what we're seeing in the sun and the moon and the stars right now, and the majority of it is connected to our equilux signs that began in 2016. Again, family, it repeated in 2023, which is a 7-year pattern. And I believe that this pattern is going to continue for us. And I'm going to be doing my best to get through this series to bring everything out that I found. But it might take us 7, maybe 8. I don't know. It could go on to 10 parts. I just don't want to skip over anything, and I hope everybody appreciates all of the research and the details. Much love, family. Again, these are the signs for 2027 and the rise of the Antichrist.